We're going to talk about the how-to, the nuts and bolts. The first thing is sitting practice. Sitting there, being aware, and when we get lost in thought, coming back to being aware of the next moment. And this practice is the same practice that we do through the course of our daily lives. And when we do our special practice, whatever our focus is, in my case, playing music, or in general, listening to music, the practice is the same. Being aware moment to moment, coming back from being lost in thought, and cultivating this non-conceptual awareness. Right now I'm hearing the sound of something outside. It might be an airplane. If I were sitting here doing practice or not talking at the moment, probably through force of habit, I'd immediately think, oh, that's an airplane out there. But this practice is to just hear the sound. And the reason we do formal practice, if you will, sitting meditation, is to be able to do that practice away from our daily lives, away from action, and just focus on that awareness and that letting go. And that's a good reason to do this practice, this sitting practice, early on in the day. Some people just get up and do it. I kind of like to have something to eat first, so I'm a little more alert. Maybe even some coffee. But regardless, I find if I wait, if I get into some work activity, maybe I have a deadline, but I get right to it and put off my sitting practice for a while, a couple of things happen. If I get too involved and something else comes up and something else comes up, maybe I don't do it till late in the day, or maybe I don't do it at all that day. And the other thing is, doing that sitting practice almost first thing or the first thing in the day puts our minds in this new habit of awareness, which can positively affect everything we do from then on. If you're like me, a lot of times I'll wake up in the morning and maybe a concern came up in a dream, or I just have something on my plate for that day, or maybe even a general concern about what I'm going to do with my life or my career. And I start to think, and that cascade of thoughts starts to form right off the bat. And I might even have a vibration of nervousness or anxiety to an extent. If the sitting practice is one of the first things we do in our day, it tends to calm down our minds and interrupt that cascade of thoughts that we might wake up with, helping us to be much more aware and wise even as we go through our day. The reason for that is when we're in this practice of awareness moment to moment, we're aware of a thought. But then the next moment comes up, we hear a sound, we feel a sensation in our bodies, etc. That means that that thought is automatically let go of. And as we do that over and over again in our sitting practice, we get into the habit of not holding on to those thoughts so much. So when we get into the course of our day, we automatically are less prone to getting lost in thought. So that's the nuts and bolts of the sitting practice. We sit there, we're aware of whatever comes up. Now, especially when there's something going on in our lives, something is pushing our buttons a little bit, maybe we have an emotional reaction, that cascade of thoughts, that getting lost in thought, can be pretty strong, even during our sitting practice. So we may be aware for a few minutes, and then all of a sudden, we find ourselves lost in thought. We're just thinking about this and that. If this getting lost in thought is really strong, maybe something really intense is going on in our lives, and we almost can't stop thinking about it. we can employ an anchor of some type, an anchor to anchor our minds. A really good one is being aware of our breath. It's always there, hopefully. So yeah, I notice I'm lost in thought. Again, breathe in, natural breath coming out. Maybe aware of the sound now. Can kind of calm you down too. In fact, if things are really intense with getting lost in thought, can even continue being aware of the breath and just allow other things to come into consciousness. And then when we find that our minds have settled down a little bit, we can gently let go of the breath consciousness and just come back to purely being aware of whatever it is that we're aware of in the moment. Another good anchor is a question. I was given this by one of my early teachers in the Quantum School of Zen. It's a very well-known question in Zen teachings. What is this? In other words, what is happening right now? It has the advantage of being very brief. So I notice I'm getting lost in thought. I'm thinking about this, I'm thinking about that. What is this? I hear sound. Quick way to come back. Try it out, experiment, see what works. So that's our practice. Very simple. Not always easy, but very simple and very effective at helping us to be more aware, more awake, more present in the moment. So I encourage you to do this every day. Maybe do at least 20 minutes, maybe 30, maybe some days do a double session with walking in between. But try and do it every day, because I can attest that it really becomes a habit, and there's definitely a progression of being more aware. But don't make a goal out of it. Don't say, oh, I'm more aware than I was yesterday. Oh, how come I'm not aware? Just do the practice simply. In the next section, we'll talk about our daily life practice. Thank you.